back, everyone, to the loud, quiet, empty nest living. Those that are watching, probably those that are listening, you can hear we are on the road again. Another trip to see Teagan. Today is her birthday, and we are heading from Phoenix down to Tucson to go see her on her birthday.
Here we are, yes, back in Arizona. Quick trip, just literally quick trip to deliver her cake. If you have been watching us or listening to us for a while, you know that I do a special cake for her every year, and last year we brought it on the plane with us, and we did that again this year, so I'm excited for her to get to have her cake, and I'm glad that we can do these kind of things so that we can at least spend the day with her on her birthday.
Yeah, we never had to deal with that with Tanner because he was a summer birthday, and Teagan being an April birthday, we realized, all right, if we're going to do this, we got to be traveling for her birthday.
Yeah, and those are some of the things you don't think about when you're a kid. I never thought about, oh my gosh, I don't want to be away from her on her birthday, and so we haven't been so far, and it's worked out. You think all I could handle right now is a quick in and out trip. And that's what we wanted to talk a little bit about today, is feeling overwhelmed. I just feel like I'm treading water right now. I'm just trying to keep my head above the water. I don't know if any of you guys are feeling that way. You know, are you going through things right now that it just feels like your schedule is just so crazy that I couldn't even remember what date it was when I was planning a dinner that I went to last night. When we were scheduling the dinner, I was like, oh, you know, April 4th. And people were like, well, that's a Friday. I was like, no, it's a Thursday. I mean, it's my daughter's birthday. I know it's on Friday. I was already planning on being in Tucson. My mind is in 4,000 different places right now. And so I don't know if any of you guys are feeling that way. You know, you can share with us on the group, the Loud, Quiet, Empty Nest Living. I'm sure we're all going through different things that we're dealing with, and sometimes they can just pile on top of each other. And that's what this week I finally I kind of hit a breaking point. I had a little minty bee as the...
A what?
A minty bee.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a mini mental breakdown. That's what the Gen Zers say.
Okay.
So,
well,
I'm up on my lingo.
When I become a Gen Zer, I'll start to say a minty... What'd you say? Minty fresh?
Bee.
Minty, okay.
We had just gotten off of one trip. Some of you know that we bought a townhome. We took possession of the townhome the day after we got back, and just needed to go down there and do some things. Get into it and make sure that everything was okay. And then we, literally had 2 more days before we were leaving to come here. We had a couple of meetings scheduled. We were trying to get in some service providers for the house. We were also trying to edit our episode.
Yep. I
just finally said, I can't add anything else into this week. And I did. I got emotional. I started crying. I just said, we haven't been able to do any of the things that we had set out to do with our businesses specifically, because one, we haven't physically been in the same place on a couple of work days because you were at your reunion, and 2, we just keep throwing these other things into the mix that are all good things, but I had hit the wall.
It was affecting to see you go through that. Editing can be a stressful process for us in general. A little peel behind the curtain here. We sit down and we make sure that the episodes are cleaned up and ready for release. And that involves creative choices, and it involves, saying perhaps to the other person, hey, I didn't like that. We need to cut that. And for the most part, we're pretty good about it, but it's still something that has a little tension and edge to it. And then to see you, and I don't even remember how we got into the conversation of schedules.
This all happened before we even started editing, because I said
Nice.
we had 2 emails sitting in our work email that needed to be addressed, and we hadn't even physically had the time to sit down and address them, especially when you're working with a partner, a spouse, you're even in just your work life that's outside of your marriage. Sometimes you have to physically be in the same place to be able to go through some of the things, just business checklist.
And certainly we could do it remotely. It was more about just our calendars hadn't been in sync. To your point, I was doing my reunion. You were back home. And all these different things that add up. I know that I feel it when I see even just my inbox. That I try to live in inbox 0, and it stresses me out when I see things that are in there. And to see you going through that, do you remember what I said to you when we were kind of coming into that moment?
No. No.
It had a deep impact on you, I can tell. This is something that's interesting about working with your spouse, working with someone you love, is I said, as your husband, I just want to sit and listen to you. I want to just be there and listen. As your business partner, we got to take care of this, and we got to figure something out, because it can't be like this.
It wasn't just me, though. You are very regimented with how you do your podcast for the other business, and you had missed a couple of things that are very much routine for you.
It's the same thing had happened twice in the last 2 weeks.
And that's when I said, we're doing too much. Something is going on. We're not being able to focus on the things that we need to be focused on, because we're giving too much of our bandwidth to so many other things right now, which, again, are not bad things, but it's just, it was too much. And in the end, we knocked out the things that we needed to get knocked out. But again, it just made me feel like, okay, we did that, so we're back above the water.
That's getting at something that I'm feeling in the business side of it, and that is there's a lot of activity that we are doing. There's a lot of checkboxing that we're doing, and there's a lot of things that get accomplished, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it is moving to use a business term, the strategic things forward. And I know that's weird to talk about when we're talking about kind of life along with business. There's some things that are just beyond, hey, did I finish editing this episode? Did I respond to that email? These larger things. How did we get here? How did we get to this point that we are feeling overwhelmed when you're talking about, in many episodes we talked about, how wonderful and freeing the empty nest is? How on earth are we at this point?
And I think that's what it is. We jumped into the empty nest. One of our very first episodes was, we're going to say yes to more things. And a lot of that was me saying, I'm going to say yes to more things. And I think almost in me doing that, as a couple, we have definitely done way more things than we would have ever been doing. And even now that we have fully morphed into working and coupling that with our relationship, we are saying yes to so many more things together because they involve aspects of our podcast businesses.
Right. Absolutely. And the idea of saying yes, a lot of it stems from that fear at the very beginning of going into the empty nest of, well, I don't want it to be emptiness. An empty nest is fine, but I don't want it to be emptiness. We consciously chose to say yes to the point that set this process in motion that didn't put a lot of space for the word no. Jay Klaus has used a phrase, fewer swings, bolder strokes. And it's the idea of choosing to do fewer things, but doing it with greater intensity, greater focus, greater risk taking. And I think a lot of the risk taking that you can take in business or in life is enhanced when you aren't filled to the brim with activity.
If you're on our Facebook group, the quote that I put out this week had to do with those kind of things. And I said, we've got a lot of balls up in the air right now, and some of them, yes, are coming down and smacking us in the face.
It kind of reminds me of how I felt after my mom passed away, and there was so much going on. When I chose to start talking to a therapist about that, the way I described it was, it just felt like there were all of these threads. They were these threads that are not woven together in anything coherent. They're just sort of flowing out their threads, and I was having trouble untangling them. And while that was due to the passing of my mom, fast forward to now, it's a very similar feeling for obviously different motivations, but it's just, there's so many threads that you can work on each thread and knock off the activity. It doesn't feel like it's marching towards a coherent theme, which is what I think you and I are seeking in both life and business right now.
Again, some of these things we have chosen to do to ourselves. Like, even to the point that, yesterday I was thinking, okay, I know we have a meeting at 1:30. I need to get Teagan's cake done. I'll be able to go to the gym, get her cake done, do our meeting, get packed, because we weren't leaving until Friday. Well, then, you called me about something else for the house. And I said, the weather's not looking so great. And I just said, I kind of looked at the flights to change. Maybe we should go out Thursday night. And you said, I kind of did the same thing. So what did we do?
Completely said yes to disrupting our schedule for the right reason, because God forbid we miss Teagan's birthday and you've made this cake and all that kind of stuff because of some storm disruption in Dallas. But that was a scramble. So choosing to say yes for the right reason gave us a whole other set of wavy, tangly threads.
Yes. And I had a dinner planned that with my group that we get together once a month, and it had been scheduled. Our flight worked out that I could go, pop in, say hello. Everyone did their quick rundown for me, and then I skedaddled out of there. And they were just like, I can't believe you're getting on a plane and you still came here. I was like, dude, we've got this down. I've been on so many planes, trains, and automobiles in the past, and there was a train, so I can include that in there. You can
actually say that, yep.
We have it down to a science. So I was just very thankful that I got to still do that with my girlfriends, because I always just feel so much better after seeing them and being with them. I use that time with my girlfriends. Like I said, it makes me feel good. I also use exercise, and I used to get lost in my TV shows, which that's gone by the wayside since work has happened. So what things do you use to deal with the overwhelming aspects and stress of life?
So one is, each day, my mornings start with, I wake up, the coffee's brewing, I have a quiet time, right? That's the Bible study, the quiet time, and that's vital, right? That is the reset for the day. That's an important part for me to connect spiritually. It's also an important time to clear out my head. And then I follow that by going to the gym. And so, exercise is pretty important. I really enjoy when I can run. When you want to talk about when can I clear my head the absolute best, it's when I'm outside. This morning I got to hike in Phoenix, outdoors, in that beautiful southwestern desert crunchy ground. That is how I decompress. And it absolutely helps. To the point that this trip, you don't want to hear me say this, but it reminded me again why I want us to have a place to live out here and live out here several months a year. But we'll have that conversation some other time.
Look, I'm saying no to that right now. So
okay, we learned. No.
I also enjoy journaling too, and I do that along in the morning with my Bible study. And And that just helps me to get some of my thoughts out. So I'm sure you guys have different ways of coping with stressful times that come up. Share those with us on the Facebook group. We'd love to hear how everyone else just decompresses.
So now what? That's great. We got a lot of stuff going on. Heck, we're even recording an episode while we're driving at 80 miles an hour so that we can, quote, fit that in. What do we need to do?
Well, I think one thing, is being aware. Okay, we had an hour and a half in the car that we would have been talking anyway, so let's just throw the camera up and record an episode. So we did. We took advantage of some time that was allotted to us that we wouldn't have had because we were just supposed to fly in this morning.
Right. I think another thing is realizing that this is something that's not working and being aware of it. I think a lot of times, especially when it comes to, quote, busyness or things that are good, it's real easy to just let that wash over you and that becomes the steady state reality. Instead, realizing, hang on, even though it's good doesn't mean that it's right. And being aware of that and starting to make choices because of that awareness is important.
And I think that goes in line with, you have to analyze every opportunity that is given to you.
Yes.
I think that's one thing that we could improve on is because we've been the opportunities that have come to us. Okay, yes, we're going to do it. Okay, yes, we're going to do it.
Uh-huh.
I think now we have to really start looking at, is this really an opportunity that we want to do? Is it beneficial? Just the different aspects of it before we just say yes and jump into the mode of, okay, how are we going to do this opportunity?
Yes, we frequently jump to how to before we choose to figure out should we. We go straight to how because the yes is assumed. Finding our no is important. Understanding your value statement, understanding your mission, and I'd say that to you and me in the sense of the businesses we're doing together, but also even like an empty nest living mission statement. Be aware of what is it that we're trying to do? What kind of life are we trying to live? Are we trying to do this in the service of others? Are we trying to entertain ourselves? What does all that do? And then any new opportunity can be matched up against that.
I think that's where, especially in our situation, when you have now combined your personal life with your business life, it's all intertwined. And I think another thing that we need to be better about is turning off the business side of the relationship and focus on the personal side. Let's take Chicago. That's a great example. The whole first day, all we did was just play in Chicago. We had so much, it was fun. We just watched, you want to go get a hot dog? Yes. You want to go in here and have a drink? Yes. It was like we were on a vacation, but then we had the work the next day, but we were still able to decouple those things from each other.
Yeah, we're eating the devil dog together, and it was not planning out the episode that we were going to record at the Kid Studios.
So I think there's just going to be a learning curve with this new path that we have chosen to take.
The narrower you are with your focus, the more you'll be able to accomplish whatever it is that you're focused on. When you say, oh, I do everything, then you likely do nothing very well. It's easier when that lens is very narrow. So Clancy, I'm looking forward to getting some of those things untangled as we're, and even just this fun little mini therapy session as we hurtled down the highway. Y'all head over to the Facebook group. Let us know what your thoughts are about untangling your threads, finding your no, not saying yes too much, and being able to actually thrive in this empty nest life. Thanks y'all for joining us on another episode of The Loud Quiet.